All right, hi there. My name is Rhea. I'm an intern for 6 Minutes to Live, so I've been working with them this summer, and it's such an honor to get to talk to you today. I haven't met many survivors. I meet with a few in my area, and I do some work with them, but I feel like this is a really good opportunity because a lot of other people are like you, trying to find the people who help them out. So I'm really glad
Right.
that we get to help you out today.
Well,
Yeah,
I appreciate
so
that for sure. And it's nice meeting you.
mhm. You too. So before we start, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Um, mhm,
Um, my name's Gary. I
mhm,
am 62 years old, and this happened about a year and a half ago. Um, I live in Salt Lake City. I've got a wife. I have 4 kids. I have 5 grandkids, two of which I got to meet after this happened. So pretty grateful. Um,
mhm,
Sorry, I get kind of choked up a little bit. It's kind of tough sometimes to talk about it. But anyway,
mhm,
Stacy and I have our own company here in Salt Lake. We have about 15 employees and work from home, work hard, got a great family, and we do a lot of stuff together. So um, that's kind of a lot about me, I guess.
mhm. Yeah, I'm really glad you got to meet your two grandchildren after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's
Max
just,
is our
mhm.
first little boy grandchild, and then Mabel is my daughter's baby, and she was born 10 days after Max, so right there in August, right after that. So
Mhm. That's very lucky.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, so you said that this happened about a year and a half ago.
Yep,
It's quite some
January
time
7th.
now,
Yeah,
January 7th. Yeah,
yep.
so why don't you walk us through what happened on that day?
So
Mhm,
yeah, there was 6 of us traveling, and we were going on vacation to Punta Cana. Had an early flight out of Salt Lake City and got it to the airport early, got on the plane. Everything was good except a storm had come in. And it was January. So, in Salt Lake City, that's pretty cold and snowy and icy. So they had to de ice the plane. And so they were an hour late leaving Salt Lake City, which made us an hour late into Dallas. So I didn't realize that we had delayed in leaving because I got on a plane and took a nap, which was nice. Except when I found out that we were an hour late, we only had 20 minutes to get to our gate. Um, a good friend that was with us, Rob, he had a stroke a while back, and so he has a limp, and so he was waiting for a wheelchair. And we said, well, Stacy and I will run ahead, get to the gate, and um, tell them that we're all coming. And so it was a pretty frantic time. And so we took off running. And I don't know if you've been to Dallas Airport, but there's escalators that go up to the platform where the trains are, and they're about 4 stories high. And so Stacy and I just started running up the escalator, and we jumped on the train. And another thing about the trains at Dallas is both of them go to um, all gates, and so it says A, B, C, D, E on both sides. Well, there was a train, and there was the gate we needed, so we jumped on. Well, they go the opposite way, so this one took off the wrong way. So instead of going to the next gate, which is where we needed to go, it went all the way around. And so again, it was very stressful. And we're on this train going around to every stop around. And we finally got to our gate and ran down the escalators again and found out they had changed the gate. So we ran back up the escalator again, frantically trying to catch this flight. And about halfway through the escalator, I had stopped running. And I don't remember a lot of this, but I had stopped running. And I got to the top of the escalator and just, it didn't feel right. And I took a knee and I said, I think I'm okay. So I stood up and I got on the train, and that's when I collapsed. And immediately, Stacy was in shock. And immediately, this one guy said, let's start CPR. And then at the same time, another guy stopped the train and jumped off and grabbed an AED. And within minutes, they were working on me and they got my heart started again. So when you talk about, sorry.
You're all good. Take your time.
When you talk about 6 minutes, I was probably back in 2. And so I have no ill effects. I am so lucky that I can still work. I can still enjoy life. And when the paramedics came, those 2 guys left. I mean, understandably, they had a plane to catch. And so they took off and the paramedics took over. They actually had to jolt me again to get a good rhythm. And my next memory from the escalator, there's a gap. And my wife, Stacy, she had to endure this horrific thing, whereas I basically took a nap. I got to skip it all. I went out, I was on the escalator, I took a knee, and the next thing I woke up and I was in a room with my wife. And I said, probably 20 times, so what happened after I took a knee? And she'd tell me that, I had a heart attack and that we're in a hospital. And I said, no, we got a plane to catch. We can't be doing this. We don't have time. We have a plane to catch. And it wasn't until maybe a few hours after that where I started to remember, not that gap in time, but just remember that, I am in the hospital and this did happen. And I was walking around and I felt great, actually. It was really such an unusual feeling to feel so good, not understanding fully the gravity of what had just happened. And I ran into, in the hallway, we ran into the paramedics. And they came in and, sorry. They came in and shook my hand. And he said, it's not often I could see one make it. And still, hold on.
Take your time.
And still, I didn't fully understand what had happened and how lucky I was. And that, these 2 guys and these paramedics and the first responders saved me and allowed me to go on with my life. And I'm grateful. I'm just, I can't find the words. And I'd so much like to meet the 2 guys that immediately helped me. And, I should have the chance to meet the first responders again and visit with them. And I plan on doing that. And I'm just grateful, just very grateful for everyone and everything and having this chance. I mean, everybody in Dallas was fantastic. I got a really expensive pacemaker, so this should this ever happen again, I get an immediate jolt, and I get to go on life with life as I did before, and just not miss a beat. And it's such a rare thing, and such a thing that I am so happy and grateful for. I wish I could find these two guys, give them a hug.
Yeah,
So
you were in the right place at the right time.
yeah, and who knew that being in a train in an airport would have been the right place at the right time. I mean, now I scope out the stations that have AEDs, and I'm conscious of it. And on your website, the time I looked at it, it talks about the steps and the be prepared, and know where these life-saving devices are, and we need them everywhere. It'd be nice to have one in my truck, or have one everywhere we go, just because they're so necessary, and it helped me so much. And without, like I say, without more than a minute or two, I was, still had blood flowing to my brain, and I haven't, realized any ill effects, thanks to those guys, and thanks to that AED.
Mhm. It sounds like you had a big perspective change after your cardiac
Oh yeah,
arrest.
and
Mhm.
it's tough. It's I enjoy everything, but it's tough not to slip back into your normal routine and stress about everything, because that's what we all do. And I always have to take a step back and you know look at my grandkids, and look at my wife and my kids, and you know enjoy them. Take the time
Mhm.
and enjoy, because I don't think we do that very much. I don't think we do it as much as we should. And and you do worry about so many things, and we don't stop and appreciate what we have. So
Yeah. Yeah, so have you ever tried to find the people who saved you, the bystanders?
yeah, I mean, I called DFW. I jumped on Facebook. I've done searches and things like that. My situation didn't make any news reports, or newspaper, or anything, any news outlet or anything like that. It was basically such a quiet success story. It just happened, and nobody knew about it. Um, After talking with you folks, I've requested the information. I didn't know that was something that I could do, and so that probably would have helped immediately after. But all I really did was put out, you know, tried to look for information on the internet, and to see if anybody was talking about it, or I looked on the website to see if they really even had a report, and I couldn't even find a report that had my name on it in the airport. And like I say, it was as if it didn't happen. And I think it was because it was so quick and so successful that there wasn't any news. I was down, I was up, I was whisked off to the airport, to the hospital, and I was saved. And not front page stuff, I guess, but for me it is. But um, so yeah, I mean, it wasn't until, so maybe every two or three, after it happened, I reached out a lot trying to find anybody on any Facebook or Instagram or anything like that that had talked about the experience, and nothing came back. And about every 2 to 3 months, maybe even more frequent than that, I would do a search, and I finally came across the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation website, and I reached out to them, and they wrote a story, or I wrote my story, and they put it on their website, and we had a couple of hits in the area that people would look for them, but I don't even know. I don't. I don't think these guys are in the Dallas area even, because they were on a train to another gate, and the chances, there's probably a pretty good chance that they're not in the Dallas area, and that they could be anywhere in the world or the United States or whatever. So it's really it's kind of a daunting task to try and find them. But I'd reach out, and then when they reached out to you and got you involved, I was very grateful, because the more voices that we have and the more platforms that we have, and everything that you all do that that help people like me survive, is just incredible. So, I mean, I appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, at 6 Minutes to Live, we're a lot about storytelling because
It,
that's one of the biggest ways to reach out to other people. Yeah. And it's a shame that the story didn't spread any further. These things happen all the time, but you don't see it a lot in the news.
right, right.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, every little bit helps, and hopefully, with you folks involved, and if anybody else, knows of, has heard of anybody saying, "Hey, I saved a guy's life today," and then I got a flight and I left. So, so it's kind of
Yeah.
it's definitely a needle in the haystack thing. It'll be tough, and I'm really hopeful that somehow we can find them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, before the Dallas airport, did you have any idea that you had a heart condition, or was that your first time finding out?
No, I've had heart issues since 2012. I've had some heart issues, kind of an unexplained heart anomaly. I had one part of my heart was enlarged, and I've been on medications since 2012, but they worked, and through exercise, being in good shape, pretty good shape, probably not as good as I think, um, but no. So prior to this incident, my heart was functioning normal. Um, my cardiologist, and I have a cardiologist, they said, "Yeah, you're doing great. Keep everything up." And I'd go there every year, and I was like, "Yeah, you're normal. It's great." I'm on statins, and I'm on a couple of other meds, but baby aspirin and whatnot, but nothing substantial. And then this happened, and like back in 2012, I asked what was the problem. They said, "Well, we really don't know." Um, and so I guess there's something in my heart that isn't great, for lack of a better phrase. But because in 2012, they didn't have a reason for what I was going through, and it fixed itself through medication and exercise and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, this event happened, and I look at all the stories from the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation and you folks. I mean, of people and younger people than me, um, in a stressful athletic situation similar to what I was going through, and have this happen to them. And it's, it can happen to pretty much anybody. And so I'm not sure that my heart symptoms or my heart issues are related, but it's an unknown thing, and my cardiologist doesn't know. But he says, "Well, now you got a great piece of hardware that's going to make sure, hopefully, that it doesn't happen again, or if it does, I have a better chance because I'll have an immediate response." So
Mhm.
um, not everybody has that as well. So
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who also want to find their bystanders.
Right.
Um, yeah, if you could say something to people who are, afraid to step in or maybe afraid to jump in into action and help out, like what would you say to them?
Well, like the first guy, he said, I don't know how to do CPR, but I'll try. And that made the difference. Whatever it is, don't be afraid. Try. Anything's better than standing there. Um, and be aware. You know, it doesn't take much to be educated on methods and techniques and be aware of where these AEDs are and know how to use them. They have great instructions on them, and it works. And I'm here to tell you. I mean, I'm a living testament that having people step in and jump into action, works. And I appreciate it, and anybody else in the situation would too. So
Mhm.
don't hesitate, but be knowledgeable and know some techniques. And I think we all have a good idea of CPR and how to jump in. So just do it and save a
Mhm.
life. It's got to feel good on their end as well. So I hope it does.
Yeah. Was there anything you did after the event happened? Like you went out and learned CPR or?
Yeah, and I've always,
Mhm.
over the years we've been certified in CPR, and the techniques change from year to year, and so yeah, I went online. I'm not certified, but I went online to find out what's the latest and how what are the techniques and that sort of thing. And like I said, everywhere I go, I look around for the AED, and I know that if something were to happen, I'd go get it because that's truly the thing that saved my life. CPR kept blood moving through my body and through my brain, and that's great. It's necessary, but the AED shocked me back to life, and it made my heart start working. And it was able to do it twice, maybe even three times. I can't be sure exactly what happened. Um, it may have been even three times that it shocked my heart and got me back into a good rhythm and allowed me to go to the hospital and be cared for by some amazing doctors there. So that's the only thing is don't hesitate and be prepared.
Yeah, a lot of people get scared that they'll hurt someone or they won't be able to do a good job or they won't know what to do. But yeah, you're right. You're a living testimony to that.
Yeah, believe me, they beat me up pretty good, but you can survive bruises. Um, yeah, you can always survive bruises. You can survive cracked ribs. Honestly, I was surprised that what they didn't hurt after. I mean, I was bruised. My entire chest was a big bruise, and it didn't really hurt. But the fact that they did that made it so that I could survive, and I would have endured any pain to survive. And that's it. You have a willingness to survive as well. If you're the victim, don't give up. And if you're there, try. A little bruising,
Mhm.
everything else will mend. You got to survive this. Um, and so don't worry about anything. Don't worry about
Mhm.
anything except starting that heart and start keeping that blood flowing and keeping the victim alive, which in my case is me. And I appreciate it, and I can handle anything as long as I get to survive it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If you got to meet the bystanders, what's the first thing that you would say to them?
Try not to cry, but thank you and a hug. And I'd introduce them to my family because that allowed them that allowed them to go on with their life without this hole. And in the year that this happened, my son got engaged and later that year got married. My daughter gave birth to her first daughter. My son and daughter-in-law, um, they had their son, and I got to be there. I got to see them and meet them. And I think about what my wife would have had to go through had I not survived. And it would have been so different. It would not have been as joyous. It would not have been so positive without me. Selfish to say, um, it would have been about, poor dad that didn't make it, you know, dedicating things to him as opposed to living and enjoying and and enjoying their moment, the wedding, the babies, everything. And I got to enjoy it thanks to these guys and thanks to the responders um, and I appreciate them all and I thank all of them.
Mhm.
And I show my family that this is what you helped save is that our family is still whole. And yeah, I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing. Hmm.
Anyway, and I appreciate the chance to
Hmm.
say that.
Hmm.
Didn't think I was such a baby, but it is. It's emotional. Every time I think about it, um, every time I hear of somebody else not making it, I it brings the emotion out. And I'm usually not a very emotional guy, but probably since that time, you know, the tears come a little bit quicker. And they're happy tears. They're grateful tears. They're not sad tears because, I can't be sad about something that turned out so positive and such a success. I have to be happy about it. And I look around and I have my little grandson in there sleeping and he'll wake up and he's a great guy and he likes me. He loves me. And we get along so great. And he's just such a cute kid and he loves his papa. So,
It's all the little things.
yeah.
Yeah.
But, but yeah, I hope we can find them, you know, fly them out to
Hmm.
Salt Lake if they want. They can meet the clan, have a party.
Yeah,
So
we're definitely going to try our best to just get the word out there,
I
much
appreciate that.
exposure as possible.